Hey YouTube, this is Robert again at the Mirror Web Project, and today we're going to do an introduction on one of the most important aspects of counseling, something that should not be neglected. It's something that helps you and the client get direction in the whole counseling process. And quite frankly, without it, you're doing a disservice to the client, and you're also putting yourself in jeopardy. It's not wise to counsel an individual without identifying what you're actually counseling. This whole process of client problem identification helps you focus on exactly what the client needs. Now, in any counseling situation, you may have a number of different problems, but as you go through this process and define the problems exactly, you will probably find that you don't have that many problems. You've got one or two or three problems in severe cases. You must define client problem no matter who you are, whether you're a layperson, a pastor, a licensed counselor, an addictions counselor, a clinical psychologist. It does not matter. Without having problems identified, there is a good possibility, if you ever get called on the carpet for any reason, what they're going to request is the problems that you have identified. If you have not identified any, then there is no obvious reason for you to be counseling an individual. If there's no problem, there's no need for counseling. Problem identification is not something that you can pick and choose to do. It should be done with every client systematically. I'm going to show you how to do it. Under problem identification, I've got Don Doe, a fake client, loaded. You can see here it says that there are no problems identified. We're going to do that. New client problem is what we're going to pick, and this video is going to show you how to do it without, well, as just a one-time occurrence. It's possible for you to store problems, and let me go back there first. It says manage stored problems. We're going to talk about that. This can make life real easy for you, real easy. So we'll talk about that in the next video. Right now we're going to go to new client problem, just so you can be familiarized with this whole process. There's really not a whole lot on this form. You're going to want to watch carefully what we do. There are some fields here that are mandatory, and there are some fields here that you should not change the data that's already put in there when you're creating a particular problem. Don Doe has depression, and that's what we're going to title this problem. This is optional, therapist ID, and I'm just going to go ahead and put my first name in there. The start date of this problem is not optional. You must put a start date in. We're going to put today's date in. I suggest you use this format. You use any format you want that fits, but uniform format is best. You must leave close date open, and nothing should go in there when we're creating a problem. When you are done with the problem, you must go in and close this, or the problem's still open. The problem has not been resolved. So, and we'll go through that at a later time. These two fields, status and success, we'll drop this down. unassigned, open, closed. Now, when you close a problem, you put in a close date, and you go down here and you click closed. That lets you know that problem's done, it's been solved, and everything's taken care of. You do not, at this point, want to click on open. You'll see why. It's connected to the treatment plan. There are two things that go hand in hand. It's one thing to identify a problem. It's another thing to treat that problem. And in order to treat the problem, you need to connect it to a treatment plan. So right now, this is unassigned. That means it is not connected to a treatment plan. Later on, we're going to learn how to connect it to a treatment plan. You do not do that here in the identification of a client problem. We've titled this as depression. This box must describe in clinical terms what the problem is. You can't just put client is experiencing depression. When that gets to court, they're going to say, well, you know, your view of depression is totally different than my view. So you're going to end up in trouble doing that. Depression is at this point nebulous. We don't know what depression is. Your view of depression may be totally different than mine. So you need to put a clinical explanation and definition of what the person is experiencing that you are calling depression. Let's go back over here. I have, this is the best way to do this. I have searched Google for symptoms of depression. You see I've got a couple of them tagged. I've got them open here. Here's signs and symptoms of depression. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to take it down to my word processor and I'm just going to dump it. It doesn't have to look nice. This is just temporary. Back over to the internet. Now here we have more definitions of symptoms associated with depression. I'm going to copy those. I'm going to dump them. Let it look as messy as you want. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to use it. National Institutes of Health. We've got some more. We're going to have to go up here because these are all links. And make sure we don't click on the link or it's going to open something. We copied those. Now you can see we got 2 pages, definitions of depression. Now what you're going to do is combine these. Some of these will have unique items. Some of them will have items that are similar, and some will have items that are exactly the same. Thoughts of suicide doesn't appear on this list, and that is definitely an indicator of depression. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy him up here. Guilt, worthlessness, hopelessness, well, that's the first one. Fatigue, difficulty concentrating, that's all up on this other list. Look for things that are different, that are not on this list or not similar, and move them up there. And the other ones, just kill them off. We don't need it. So, and the second list, do the same thing. And be careful because these are hot links. Make sure you don't click on them or you can open internet and go to wherever it goes. Combine these lists until you get depression symptoms. When you've got a complete list, it's going to look like what I've got down here. I already did this. Kill all that off. I combined all these together into a nice statement. Depression as characterized by feelings of hopelessness, loss of interest, and so on and so on and so on. This is what we mean by depression. Okay? So if somebody says, well, you said your client's depressed, what does that mean? Define depression for me. This is a definition of depression. I just copied it. I'm going to go back over here to my description. The client is experiencing depression. I always use this term right here as characterized by, I'm going to dump that in here, fix that typo, characterized by, client is experiencing depression is characterized by feelings of hopelessness, loss of interest, appetite changes, sleep disturbances, anger, irritability, reckless behavior, concentration problems, unexplained aches and pains, persistent sadness, or thoughts of suicide. If somebody wants to know what I mean by depression, there you go. That is the problem that I have identified for the client in no uncertain terms, and it was obtained directly from symptoms that we found on internet. At this point, we've got one box left. Resolution discussion. This is related to the status being changed to close and putting a close date. You would put in here how you resolved this problem for the client. Now at this point we will save the problem and the client will have a new problem. I'm not going to save this. You'll see in the next video why I'm going to leave this open. But for now, that's how you create a problem. Make sure you define your problem exactly so that nobody can say, well, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by panic disorder. I don't know what you mean by anxiety, generalized anxiety. I don't know. Well, define it so they do know. This is the first step in creating a problem. I'm going to show you a shorter way to do it when we manage problems, and that'll be subject of another video.